Win free airtime with hashtag #LearnOn1. Share your comments on the lessons. SMS your feedback, name and town to 555. Hashtag #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
At ShopRite, we're giving you more ways to save this January. Save on deals like a 750-gram jar of Cross & Blackwell tangy mayonnaise for only $26.99. A 700ml bottle of all gold tomato sauce for just $26.99. And a 750ml bottle of J.C. LaRue sparkling wine for just $67.99. Get more ways to save when you need it most. Only at ShopRite. Lower prices you can trust. Always.
Hello there and welcome to MyZone Online School. My name is Mr. Shella. Let's welcome Chanel to the studio today. But before we begin today's lesson, let us abide to COVID-19's rules. We'll begin by sanitizing our hands, making sure that we do it thoroughly. Also at the back of your hand, around your thumb. Make sure your hands are dry. Let us do the distance drill. Make sure that you're not touching anyone. Right. Today's lesson is on diseases. Right. All right, grade 5s. Let us turn to page 19 for today's lesson. Right. Our learning objective for today is know basic information about diseases, types of diseases, the methods of prevention, and the impacts of a disease. Right, our competency for today is state how to prevent malaria and TB. We'll begin by checking our vocabulary, which today's word is disease. A disease, a disorder of structure or function in a human, animal, or plant, especially one that produces specific symptoms or signs. Today's lesson is on diseases. We'll be focusing on malaria and TB. Let us look at malaria. What is malaria? Malaria is a type of fever caused by a protozoan parasite which invades the red blood cells and is transmitted by mosquitoes in many tropical and subtropical regions. Okay, we'll not go into detail to explain what is malaria further. We'll rather move on to the prevention measures of this disease. As we all know, malaria is caused by a protozoan, which is like a virus or an animal that invades the human body and causes dysfunction. Right. How do we avoid getting malaria? Let us look at the prevention measures that we can look at. Right. How to prevent malaria? Malaria can be prevented in the following ways. The first one could be by the use of anti-malarial drugs and the use of protection measures against mosquito bites. Second one could be you should apply insect repellent to exposed skin. The third one, you should wear long-sleeved clothing and long pants if you are outdoors at night. Number 4, use a mosquito net over your bed if your bedroom is not air conditioned or screened. Number 5, spray an insecticide or repellent on clothing, as mosquitoes may not bite through thin clothing. And number 6, which is not last but least, avoid still standing water or moist areas. Right. Any other prevention that you can do at home, you can use the common tree that we have at home or in our areas, the lemon eucalyptus tree, which is very common in Namibia. You can use that to also remedy mosquito bites at home. And also, you can rub the inside of a banana peel to your skin to avoid getting bit by mosquitoes. Right? There's a lot of other prevention measures that we can use naturally, but I'll not go into detail with those. We can maybe ask our parents at home to give us more in details or search for us on the internet. Okay, grade 5s. Let us turn to page 21, where we'll be discussing our second disease for this lesson. Our second disease is TB or tuberculosis. What is tuberculosis or what is TB? TB is an infectious bacterial disease characterized by the growth of nodules, tubercles, in the tissues, especially the lungs. How is TB or tuberculosis spread? It says it can be spread when a person who has the active disease in their lungs through the air. Active means the TB germs are multiplying and spreading in your body. Or it can also be spread by, or when you are in close contact with someone who has the disease. Right. So how do we prevent getting TB? First one, excuse me. Right. How to prevent TB? Provide education on preventing TB, like cough etiquette. Avoid extended close contact with someone who has TB. Number 3, air out rooms regularly, which means you should open the windows, keep the air well ventilated. Number 4, cover your face with a mask that is approved for protection against tuberculosis or TB. Number 5, wash your hands regularly. Number 6, don't visit other people and don't invite them to visit you if they are said to have TB. Right. All right, grade 5s. Now that you've learned what is malaria, and we also learned what is tuberculosis and the ways to prevent these diseases, let us turn to page 22 for a fun quiz time. Right. Question 1. Try to remember any 2 methods on how to prevent each of the following diseases. Number 1, malaria. 2, TB. Okay, please guys, try to do this on your own without looking at the answers. And if need be, you can ask someone, an adult at home, to assist you. Okay. Before we say goodbye, I'd like us to still remember to sanitize our hands thoroughly, so on top of your hands, around your thumb. Okay, and then we do the distance drill. Make sure that we're not touching anyone in any way. Okay, from us here in the studio, until next time, it's ta-da!
Hi everyone, my name is Josie and I am back. My mommy used to tell me that I need to wash my hands and sanitize it to keep the germs away. Also, one thing you can remember is to sing the alphabet song while you wash your hands. After that it will be super clean. I usually do it. And until next time, bye!
morning and welcome to MyZone Online School. My name is Ms. Francina Haindongo Eliazar. Let's welcome our friend Chanel, who's going to be our assistant for today. Before we start, let's not forget to sanitize our hands. We must also keep in mind our social distancing and never ever forget to mask up. Today's topic is on diseases, whereby we are going to look at HIV and AIDS. Grade 5s, let's quickly turn to page 20. We are going to look at diseases, where in specific we will look at HIV and AIDS. At the end of this lesson, each and every learner should be able to differentiate between HIV and AIDS in simple terms, investigate and describe misconceptions, myths about HIV and AIDS, state ways in which HIV is and is not transmitted, explain why sexual abstinence before marriage and faithfulness after marriage are the most effective protection possible for HIV infection. There are a few words that we should quickly look at before we continue with the lesson. We have treatment. Treatment means medical care given to a patient for an illness or injury. Transmitted means causes of something or to pass on from one person or place to another. Abstinence means saying no to sex. Myth and misinterpretation of the truth. Let's differentiate between HIV and AIDS in simple terms. Let's quickly start off with HIV. HIV is a short word that stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. HIV is a virus which attacks our immune system. It weakens our white blood cells, which makes our immune system, or let me say our defense mechanism, weak and unable to fight for infections or diseases. AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome, which is a disease that is caused by HIV. The moment HIV destroys our white blood cells and weakens our immune system, it's unable to fight for infections anymore, and that's when our body is attacked by many infections and diseases, and that is what we call AIDS. Let's quickly move on to page 21. HIV and AIDS is transmitted in many different ways, and there are also many different ways how HIV is not transmitted. HIV in our bodies stays only in certain parts, for example, in certain fluids such as blood, semen, preseminal fluids, rectal fluids, vaginal fluids, and breast milk. Those are the only parts that can transmit HIV in our bodies. Therefore, you can only get HIV from having unprotected sex. You can also get HIV through drugs, especially drug addicts when they share injections. HIV is also transmitted through blood transfusion. For example, when you are in an accident and you lose a lot of blood, that's when you go to the hospital and get new blood from somebody else. There you can get HIV. You can also get HIV through pregnancy. For example, a pregnant mother can pass on HIV from her to an unborn baby. And we can also get HIV from non-sterile instruments. Different ways how HIV cannot be transmitted. You cannot get HIV by touching or shaking hands. You cannot get HIV by sharing utensils or sharing food. You cannot get HIV through kissing. You cannot get HIV through insect bites, for example, mosquitoes or any other animal bite. And you can also not get HIV from sharing a swimming pool or a public toilet. Grade 5s, we are still on page 21. Misconceptions or myth about HIV and AIDS. Remember, I already told you, myth means misconception about HIV and AIDS, or information or wrong information which is mistaken for the truth. Sometimes we say things which are not true, but then there are those people that believe them. But in actual fact, they are not true. Example of this myth. Like number 1, I can get HIV by being around people who are HIV positive, which is actually not true. There is no way you can just get HIV from being around someone. Myth number 2, I can get HIV from a mosquito. Remember when we did how HIV is not transmitted, we talked about us not getting HIV from any animal bite, which is also not true. Number 3, I'm HIV positive, my life is over. You can have HIV for many, many years. It doesn't mean that if you have it today, then your life ends there. That means this is just a misconception. HIV is a sexual transmitted, HIV is a homosexual disease. HIV can infect anyone, not only homosexual, but any one of us can get HIV. Number 5, male circumcision prevents HIV. That is a myth. If I'm receiving treatment, I can't spread the HIV virus, which is not true. So these are just things that people say, but they are not true. Turn over to page 22. Explain why sexual abstinence before marriage and faithfulness after marriage are the most effective protection possible for HIV infection. Abstinence offers adolescents in particular a number of advantages. When you abstain from sex, means you stay away completely from sex. What are the advantages that we have there? It prevents you from getting unwanted pregnancies, or let's say teenage pregnancies. It also saves you time and energy to go to the hospital to look for contraceptives or septives. Or it also prevents you from getting other sexual transmitted diseases. Sexual abstinence requires no supply or clinic visits. Being faithful to your partner in marriage means that you are saving your family from getting HIV and AIDS, and you are also saving other families from getting HIV and AIDS. Here down, we have something for you to do. That is your fun quiz. You must try to answer these questions that follows. Try to remember any difference between HIV and AIDS. Tell us what is HIV, and you also tell us what is AIDS. Another question is, mention the effective methods to protect yourself from HIV and AIDS. Just a quick recap on today's lesson. We've looked at the difference between HIV and AIDS, different ways how HIV can be transmitted and cannot be transmitted. We've also looked at the misconceptions or myth about HIV and AIDS, and also remember how abstinence and faithfulness can protect you from getting HIV and AIDS. Before we go, let us quickly sanitize our hands. Remember to keep a social distance and never leave your mask at home. Please keep it on. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, I'm Josie and I'm back. Even though the schools are closed, I thought about we can still do online classes, learning and reading. You can also do your schoolwork. Till next time, bye!
In a time of uncertainty, false news, and fear, learn on. While the world scrambles to make new sense, while the experts turn around in circles, trying to find their way back to tomorrow. Learn on. When classrooms become empty cathedrals and the trees start to bear answers, learn on. Learn on. Until every parent is a teacher and every teacher is a mentor. Learn on until you cross the boundaries of your mind, until you grow eyes and sprout wings. My friend, learn on sidewalks, on the floor, at the neighbors, in the market, in hallways, in churches, under trees, at kitchen tables, in riverbeds. Learning doesn't only happen between four walls. Learning happens in the small space of your enormous, beautiful mind. Start where you are. Use what you have. Learn on one. Invite learning in.
Let's talk about the coronavirus outbreak here in Africa. How do you get people to regularly wash their hands when water is scarce? How do you get people to work from home when majority of Africans work in the informal sector?
People are dying and suffering.
More importantly, how do you get a vibrant and dynamic continent to stop in its tracks? Welcome to The Breakdown, BBC Africa's COVID-19 special program, helping you make sense of the crisis.
Early this morning, woke up holding my head, hearing my heartbeat all night long. Shades of this motel keeping me in bed, reading the news, just trying to stay strong. I need to just get up, take a deep breath, keep it together, 'cause it's a beautiful day. Sun on my face, feeling okay. Don't let it get away. It's a beautiful day. Feel so proud, screaming out loud. It's a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Feel so proud, screaming out loud. It's a beautiful day. Beautiful.
It was April 16th, 2016. An earthquake registering 7.8 magnitude on the Richter scale struck the South American nation of Ecuador. Hundreds of people died, thousands remained unaccounted for, and hundreds of thousands more are lacking life's basic necessities, especially those living in the cities of Manta and Pedernales.
No hay agua, no hay luz, no hay víveres para comer.
UNICEF está aquí apoyando en la ciudad de Pedernales en el evento del terremoto que se dio el día domingo en la noche. Ha sido muy impactante ver cómo la ciudad está destruida. Si hablamos en porcentajes, podemos decir que un 90% de la ciudad está destruida.
In these types of humanitarian emergencies, the most helpless always pay the heaviest price. Ecuadorian children are the most needy and the most vulnerable. Many are afraid and unsure of their safety amid the turmoil and chaos in the aftermath of the quake.
Hay mucha afectación en los niños tienen temor de ingresar a sus casas porque sienten que se les va a caer el techo encima. Y también hay mucha angustia de pensar y de ver que sus escuelas han sido destruidas totalmente. Aquí hay 15 escuelas y todas están destruidas y les preocupa mucho el no poder regresar a clases.
According to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, more than 150,000 children have been affected. Now, it's a race against time to protect them from disease and starvation.
No hay carro para viajar, ningún lado. Ya, entonces, los niños, leche no hay ropa para los bebés, se cayeron casi todas las casas aquí.
Desperate to save lives, food rations have been flown in by the World Food Programme, WFP.
The government of Ecuador, together